right. Okay, please confirm online. Am I audible? Okay, let's continue. So we will be starting the other unit from next class. We will be doing both units simultaneously, as I said previously. So we'll be starting with another very important unit, that is unit 10, ecological principles. Okay, and definitely this unit is easy to study. Okay, you don't get any stress all, but questions are a bit tricky. You have to completely apply your knowledge, then only you will be able to answer the questions from this particular unit. What this all unit about is, we have to start from an individual organism. Okay, an individual organism. So whenever we are reading an individual organism, we will focus on what is the habitat where that particular individual organism is living, and niche represents the job performed by the organism. And what are group of organisms called as? Group of individuals belonging to the same species called as population. So we will read completely about population and their characteristic features. Group of different populations living in the same general area, community. An example, group of rabbits, group of humans, group of plants, all together different population living in a general area is community. So we will focus on community ecology, and group of communities called as ecosystem. Then group of ecosystems are biomes. Okay, so group of biomes are biosphere. So in this chapter, we'll start with an individual organism and we'll read completely up to the biosphere. Okay, it is not a difficult unit. Please confirm online, people. Am I audible? Okay. So now let's focus. But 90% of the times the questions are very tricky. Only 10% of the time questions are straightforward. But any question you can answer with a thorough understanding of the concept. So we'll be starting with the first one about individual organism. Whenever we are reading the individual organism, we have to focus on habitat as well as the niche. Can anyone give me a simple definition of the habitat with respect to organism? Habitat. Correct, that's all simple. A place or a set of environmental conditions where an organism is living, which is called as habitat. And what is called niche? Simple words, the fundamental role of an organism in its environment. That is what we call as niche. If you ask me what is the niche of a rabbit, I can say reproduction. That is the role in the environment. Even if you consider a human being, what is the niche of the human being? One of the major role is the reproduction. One of the major role. So in a simple words, habitat generally represents the address, the place or set of environmental condition where it lives. Niche represents the fundamental role performed by the organism. Now see here, when I use the word habitat, in other words, we used a place or set of environmental condition, which includes biotic factors also, which includes abiotic factors also. Correct now? Then in one word I will tell you how can you differentiate the niche, or in other word, how exactly you can define the niche. Niche is all about behavior. Niche is all about behavior. An example, friends, if I want to explain to all of you what is the niche of a frog. Whenever I am explaining a niche of a frog or other organism, I will take certain parameters into the consideration, then I can define its niche. Suppose when it considers frogs, the first parameter I will consider the place in the food web. An example, I mean to say, in the food web where this particular frog is located. Is it a producer? Is it a consumer? Is it a carnivore? Is it a detrivore? Or is it a decomposer? An example. So the place in the food web, that also represents its niche. And range of temperature organism needs to survive, whether it require high temperature, low temperature, or a moderate temperature. And type of food organism eats. What generally frog will eat? Frog will eat small insects, it will eat caterpillars. Generally, correct na? And how it obtains the food? Whether the frog is obtaining the food by the competition or the predation or by mutualistic relationship. Generally, how it will get the food? By predation. Frog never maintain any mutualistic relationship. It get the food by hunting the prey. That also comes under the niche. Who uses the organism for food? Means a frog eaten by whom? Generally, frog eaten by snake or eagle. That also comes under the niche. Physical conditions such as pH required to survive, and when and how organism is getting reproduced, means the time. So all these parameters comes under the niche. In simple words, can I say that all are generally influenced by behavior? Correct na? We will change all these conditions according to our behavior also. So in a simple words, niche represents the fundamental role of an organism in its environment. Suppose example, if you look into the habitat and niche of a gardener snake, I live in most places you see today, forest, field and marshes. These are the habitats where it is living. Now what is its role in the environment? My niche or job is eat things like this. It eats sometimes frogs, but we know no, snake not only depends on the frogs, sometimes it eats small fish, mice, bird, eggs also it eats. So it's generally, it is eating and performing some role. That becomes what? Niche of an organism. So in simple words, a role. Suppose if we consider the niche of a coyote, we know now coyotes are extremely intelligent creatures, very intelligent they are. Where generally you can found the coyotes, high mountains, fields, open plains, grasslands, there you can get the coyotes. The speciality of course, their ultimate or fundamental role is also predation only. But coyotes are very intelligent creatures. Suppose example, from the long distance a big predator is coming, consider lion is coming, then coyotes make different sound. Only other coyotes can understand. Then all comes together, then they are ready to defend the big predator. Means when they are in the group, they are giving a warning sensation that we are more powerful than you because they are more in number. That is a kind of a warning alarm. But suppose from the long distance prey is coming, a small organism, they never ever give any clue to the other organisms. They silently will go and catch it. That is what a role of an organism in its environment. So what I am trying to say is, even though two organisms are living in the same habitat and having the same niche, the way they behave is entirely different. Correct na? An example, we are all preparing for the same exam, but everyone, the way they prepare is completely different from others. Correct na? So that is what in simple words niche is. Now focus. Resource availability, understand every line, gives a structure to a community. How can we define that word? See here, any organism living in the nature, whether it is a plant or a microorganism or a animal, every organism share the habitat and resources. It is impossible to survive without sharing the habitat and resources. Whenever we are sharing the habitat and resources, there won't be any problem. But whenever upon sharing, we get sometimes problems. Now the point is that when the problem arises, in other words, when the competition arises, competition occur, focus, when two species use the resources in the same way. Suppose example, there is only one chair. If two people are competing for the same chair, obviously it leads to the big competition. In the competition, we cannot predict which is going to win, depending on the type of competitors. But in general, even in the nature also, competition occur when the two species are using the resources in same way. To explain the competition, there was a wonderful theory was proposed. We called competitive exclusion principles. You people read in the BSc, even intermediate also multiple times, very important rule it is. Focus. It was first proposed by J. Grinnell, but it was later modified by George Gauss. That's why competitive exclusion principle widely called as Gauss hypothesis. It is very important, you have to understand the statements very correctly. Now read this statement and try to understand. It is all theory only, but it's very interesting. Two species requiring approximately the same resources are not likely to remain long evenly balanced in number in the same habitat. Is it true or false? Once, see, in this room there are only 2 chairs are there, only 2. Okay, and the number of people are 4. Let's consider number of people are 3. How many can survive? 2 can survive. What is the fate of the other? Definitely he or she has to be eliminated. Correct na? Same thing will happen. When 2 species require the approximately the same resources, any one cannot remain long evenly in a good number in the same habitat. Correct na? One definitely has to be eliminated out. The same principle was little modified by the Gauss. What Gauss said, no 2 species cannot coexist with the same niche within the same habitat. Is it true or false? No 2 species cannot coexist, means no 2 species cannot survive in the same area if they are having same behavior. Correct na? If they are having if they are living in a same habitat, definitely behavior is also same, then definitely it leads to the competition. Among that, only good competitor will win, poor competitor has to be excluded. Correct na? So in general, in the nature, competition is the most common type of interaction that happens. Correct na? Every organism living in the nature has to share their resources with the others. Whenever they are sharing the resources, definitely competition occur. Whenever the competition occur, what is generally happening? Only one powerful competitor will win and the poor competitor will be excluded out from that particular habitat. That is what Gauss said actually. Now you only answer what are the exact outcomes of the competition. What generally happen if the competition occur? Suppose an example, there are 2 chairs are there. There are 2 people are there. Correct na? Here 2 conditions will happen. If 2 people are competing for 1 chair instead of sitting in the 2 chairs, then what happen? Definitely one fellow has to be eliminated. Other outcome is what? 2 can take 2 chairs and both can sit together. Same thing will happen in the nature also. If one species is better suited to the niche and other will either be pushed out or become extinct. This will happen when they are competing for the same resource. You are getting 1 chair, everyone is 2 people are competing for the same chair. Then obviously only one can sit, one will become extinct. Then other is what? The niche will be divided. Whenever there is a division of the niche, mostly we can easily avoid the competition. So first of all, what is competitive exclusion principle? According to the competitive exclusion principle, no 2 species cannot coexist at a same habitat with the same behavior or niche. Generally when the competition occur, there are 2 possible outcomes. One is better suited and one will become extinct. This is one most common outcome. And second outcome, niche will be divided. And this is depending on multiple parameters. Whether the competition is occurring between the same community, competition is occurring between the different communities. Depending on that, they will decide whether they have to divide the resources or not. Correct na? Now, don't confuse. Whole the lesson is like this only, we have to understand correctly. What is called fundamental niche and realized niche? It seems to be simple, but they'll raise a very tricky experimental based questions. Now all of you understand what is the meaning of a fundamental niche. I'll give a simple definition. Utilization of the all resources in the absence of competition. That is called fundamental niche. What is realized niche? Utilization of all the resources in the presence of competition. Suppose today you are all absent in the class. Then I can use all the resources. I can use light, fan, everything I can use on my own. This is what fundamental niche. Tomorrow you are all present, but still I can use all the resources. That is what? Realized niche. Using in the absence and using in the presence. Suppose the yellow color indicating fundamental niche. Consider there is no green color one is there. Only one species, that is yellow color one, it can use the entire resources easily. But there is one more species, green one. Then do you think yellow color species can use the all resources? It cannot use all the resources alone. It has to share with other. That is what we can call the realized niche. So one is presence of the competition and absence of the competition. So in order to explain this fundamental niche and realized niche, we have to understand this with a classical examples of barnacles. You might see barnacles at many places. You know, if you go to near the seashore, you might observe there are so many rocks are visible in the starting of the sea. If you observe that 40 to 50% of the rock is covered by water, remaining is exposure to the sunlight or the outside. There you can observe a lot of barnacles, and you might observe many time in National Geographic Channel, backside or front side of the what we can say tortoise or backside of the whale, it was attacked or attached by this particular barnacles. Correct na? They look like snails, but they are not exactly snails. Okay, they are barnacles. They generally live on the rocky shores. There were two type of barnacles we can observe here. One is very big barnacle named as Belanus. One is very small one called as Thymallus. Now you have to understand what is the fundamental niche of these two and what is the realized niche of these two, and when the competition occur, what happens when the competition is happening. Now understand, Belanus is very big and very powerful, and Thymallus is very small and poor competitor. Here itself you can remember, whenever the competition occur between these two, definitely Belanus only can win. That is very clear. Now understand where they can easily survive. Okay, look into the picture. See here, all of you focus where this Thymallus is living, on the which tide? High tide region. High tide region means where the water quantity is very low, where the rocks are exposed to the sunlight. And can you observe the Belanus, which is powerful, where it is living? In the low tide, means mostly they are covered by water, mostly, or you know, if they come out, I mean to say, if they come above the water level, they can't survive for a long period of time due to the high exposure to the sunlight. But Thymallus, even though it is very smaller, they can easily tolerate the sunlight. So Thymallus only lives on high tide currently, and Belanus is living only in the low tide. Later they have done a small experiment. Now tell me friends, why Thymallus cannot come down? Because what is present? Belanus is present. Belanus is a powerful competitor and very big species than the Thymallus. Hence Thymallus never come down. What they have done as a part of the experiment, they have removed Belanus. Then what they observed, can you see that? Thymallus starts coming from high tide to the low tide. Opposite also they have done, it is not showing in the picture, means what they have removed? In the opposite. Thymallus they have removed. But that time Belanus is not going up. Tell me the reason why? Because if the Belanus go up, it can't survive because the sunlight is direct exposure. Hence it never ever go up. Never ever go up. But when the Thymallus is coming down, only whenever Belanus is not there. In other words, only in the absence of competition, it is coming down. You are getting the point. In the presence of competition, it is staying only at the high tide. Now tell me, what about the Belanus? Whether there is a presence or absence of the competition, it is living in the bottom or low tide only. The reason, they cannot come up because of the sunlight. But Belanus having a great power to compete with Thymallus, but it never come up. Now you only answer which is the high tide and low, habitat, what is the fundamental niche for the Thymallus? What is the fundamental niche for the Thymallus? Means I am asking high tide or low tide? Slowly understand, I am asking a question. What is the fundamental niche for Thymallus? First of all, listen, what is the definition of fundamental niche? Utilization of the resources in the absence of the competition. Now my question is very simple, right? What is that? Now tell me. Statement is, what is the fundamental niche of Thymallus? Thymallus in the absence of competition. Originally it lives in the high tide, but in the absence of competition, it will come to the low tide. Hence the fundamental niche of the Thymallus is both high tide and low tide. Correct na? Correct or not? Then next, for the Thymallus, what is the realized niche? What is the definition of realized niche? Utilizing the resources in the presence of competition. Then what it is? High tide. Very good. Now what is the, it was not there, let's consider these are all balanas. What is the fundamental niche for the balanas? Low tide. Correct na? What is the realized niche for balanas? Again low tide. Correct na? Because it cannot go up even though there is a no competition. Correct na? So remember in a simple words, the fundamental niche which is absence of competition. Realized niche is presence of competition. Don't get confused. Many number of times question were appeared from there. Okay. Now, right now we understand one statement. What we understand? Any organism that is living in the nature, having a habitat and having a niche. Any organism living in the nature have to share resources. Whenever they are sharing a resources, compulsory what will happen? Competition occur. Now here comes the question, how can we avoid the competition? That is the question. In order to avoid the competition in the nature, organisms follows multiple ways. Number one way, very good, all correct. Number one is resource partitioning. Correct na? Tell me friends, how can you define that word resource partitioning? We are splitting the given resource or habitat. Best example our classroom only. In the classroom only one fellow can sit or 30 people also can sit. Correct? What we have done, whatever the resource that we are having, we split it. By that we can avoid the competition. Same thing happen in the nature. In order to study this particular resource partitioning, there was a famous ecologist we called MacArthur. His PhD tenure only, he has done 70% of the classical experiments in the field of the ecology. Okay. In this experiment, see what they have done. He started studying warbler birds. What is so special about this particular warbler birds? They are small, they look like sparrows. They are small, insect eating, singing birds. That's all their work. They eat small insects, small caterpillars, and they keep on making sound. That is their habitat and niche, and they are living in a specific tree. So as a part of the experiment, what experiment? He wants to understand how the species are going to avoid the competition by using a mechanism of resource partitioning. For that, he started understanding warbler birds. He did the experiment on 5 type of a warbler birds. You people no need to remember the names, kindly do not worry about that. Focus. He observed Cape May warbler, Blackburnian warbler, black-throated warbler, bay-breasted warbler, yellow-rumped warbler. Now friends, understand the point. All the 5 birds are living in the same plant. Correct na? Hence, for the 5 birds, what is same? Habitat is same. What is the niche? Eating insects and making sound. Hence, niche is also same. So, habitat is same, niche is same. Definitely it leads to competition. Now, how they are going to avoid? See, observe the picture. They were really surprised by observing their behavior. See this Cape May warbler only lives on top of the plant wherever new branches are formed. Wherever the new branches are there, only that at that specific area only it will take the rest, or it will take the shelter, or it makes the nest. and whatever the food is available over there, it will eat only that specific food. Otherwise, if it is not finding the food at that particular area, it will go out, it will get the food, again keep it there only. And if you look into this particular black Burnian warbler, on the top only it will live on the older branches. And this particular black throated warbler only live on the sides. Bay breasted warbler live on the middle, whereas yellow rumped warbler exclusively living on the down wherever the lichens are present. So what is the point? All the 5 birds are living in the same plant, but they are splitting the resources in such a way that they never ever get the competition. You know what generally happens is all the birds will go near the tree, only few birds will go into the tree and they'll take the shelter and they'll come back. Meanwhile, all the birds will wait patiently and other birds will go in the second round. Sometimes when they decided to take the shelter at a time, all birds will go at a time, but they will occupy at different positions in the plant. So even though they are living in the same habitat, they can easily avoid the competition. How? By splitting the resources. This is what we can call resource partitioning. This resource partitioning you can generally observe in the birds as well as in the insects also. Now there is another method to avoid the competition in the nature. This is the most important method, which is character, other words, minimizing the character or adjusting the character. Correct na? So how this happens? In order to study this particular character displacement, ecologists taken beak size of a Darwin finches. Okay, suppose all of you please look into this. These are the 2 Darwin finches. One is named as Galapagos fuligosa, another one is called Galapagos fortis. Okay, now don't confuse, observe the picture correctly. Initially friends, both were kept under a different locations. When 2 species are kept under 2 different location, we call it as allopatric population. What is that? Allopatric population. Of course their function is same. They will also eat small insects and caterpillars and they will survive that. So but fortis kept under Daphne Island and fuligosa kept under Los Hermanos Island. Can I say right now, niche is the same but habitat is different. Correct or not? Correct na? Because both were kept under 2 different islands. Habitat is different but behavior is same. But is there any possibility of competition? No possibility of the competition at all. These kind of species called as allopatric. So whenever they kept under 2 different islands, they started observing beak depth. They started observing beak depth of 2 species. Whenever they start observing the beak depth, they observed both beaks are almost similar. We can say that 10 to 11 mm, both beak depth will be almost similar, 10 to 11 mm. Now what we have done, we kept both the species under the same island, Santa Maria San Cristobal Island. Now what is same? Habitat is same and niche is also same. Correct na? Then obviously it leads to competition. Now how they are going to change their competition? See, don't get confused. So look into this picture. Let's consider these red color dots are food particles. Okay. These are all food particles. Now observe what we discussed, both beak depth is same. Correct na? So let's consider this is the beak depth of fuligosa and this is also beak depth of fortis. Correct na? Both are almost same. Now definitely there is a competition. Correct na? Now that time what happens, to avoid the competition, this particular, see beak is exactly like this. Now what this particular fortis is doing, to avoid the competition, it is extending its beak like this. Right? As a result, what is happening, friends? Its beak is extending up to here, correct na? Hence, whatever the food particles that are available here, it can eat it very easily. And what about this? It cannot extend its beak, but it can also eat the food, whichever is close to its beak. Correct or not? You might observe very closely in the nature. If you throw little amount of seeds, especially to the pigeons, what generally happen? No pigeon will compete. Correct na? Every pigeon will eat it. What they will do? See, if you throw the particles in this way, wherever the particles were fell down, they exactly locate that particular area and they will try to eat only those instead of competing. Because they never ever try to eat the same food particle. You are getting? They try to eat the food particle, that's all, but not the same food particle. Then they can easily avoid the competition. Same happens here. But in order to eat the food particles, what it is doing, it is adjusting its character. How it is adjusting its character? By increasing its beak depth. And the best example you might observe, if you take an eagle. From the long distance, eagle closely watches the fish, very closely. It watches more than 45 minutes, more than. Suppose if it watches 10 fishes and its movement, finally it will select one fish. And it will closely watch the same fish 45 minutes, how it is moving. Then it will come in such a speed that fish even can't recognize, it will take it and go. You might observe eagle, its beak never go very deep of the water. Correct na? And you take a crow. Some crows, they insert their beak depth of the water, they will take out the fish. And some organisms, they can keep their beak only on the top of the water, and whatever the organisms are available, they will take it out. Correct na? So what you have to understand, all organisms are living in the same habitat and behavior is also same. But depending on the condition, they are trying to adjust or they are trying to change. That is what we can call character displacement. So by minimizing or adjusting or changing the character also, in the nature, organisms can avoid the competition. So there are two common methods how they can avoid the competition is resource partitioning and character displacement. Okay, sometimes it seems to be bored unit but very scoring unit we have to read. Okay, whichever is bored always scored. Okay, now next term, ecological equivalence. What are those? They'll give 4 species in the 4 options. They'll ask us choose the most common ecological equivalent species. Ecological equivalents are those species that occupy but live in a different geographical regions. Understand, there are 2 frogs you people can observe. Okay, tell me friends, what is common character in both? Both common character, that is very correct. Color, morphological character, correct na? Both are colored. If you see the frogs in the tropical region, suppose if you see the frogs here, they are not basically colored, correct na? They are light brownish or black in color, but these are all colored. Whenever you observe the frog which are colored, they are extremely poisonous in nature, correct na? Especially this frog named as Montella. The tribal people in the South America, they use it to kill it, they extract the poison, they'll use that poison to catch the other higher animals. Anyway, so here what you can observe, niche is same. What is niche here? Releasing the poison and eating the prey. But the habitat is again completely different. Those kind of species are ecological equivalent. They occupy similar niche, that is releasing poison and eating the prey, but live in a different geographical regions. We called ecological equivalence. Now, so far whatever we discussed is very simple theoretical part. What we understand? We understand the definition of habitat, the definition of the niche, we understand fundamental niche, we understand realized niche. And we also understand how the species are going to avoid the competition in the nature by splitting their resources and by changing their character. Now, don't confuse, when we get the numerical question, we will get in this way. Definitely we get it. Either numerical or graphical based. Even a small exams like IIT JAM also, most of the time questions will come from the ecology exclusively in the numerical part. In the set and net, the default will come. Okay, maybe set less number of questions may come. In the net default, high number of numerical questions will come. Out of 6 questions, definitely 2 questions are numerical. Now, or graphical, niche breadth and niche overlap. Now see here, don't confuse with the terms. What is this word niche breadth? What it is signifying us? What we can do by understanding the niche breadth? By understanding the niche breadth, we can measure an individual whether he is a specialist or an individual is generalist. So niche breadth is a parameter. Why we use that parameter? To understand a given organism is specialist or generalist. First of all, you should know what is generalist and what are specialist. Suppose friends, there are food particles are there. 1 to 15 food particles are there. 1 to 7 food particles are extremely small size. 8 to 15 food particles are extremely large size. Now specialists are those type of organism, either they eat only small size or they eat only large size. When it comes to the generalist, it doesn't matter whether they are small or large, they can eat all. That is called generalist or specialist. A specialist that feeds on only 1 or 2 food sources will have a smaller niche breadth. This is most important statement to remember. Since specialist is depending on only fewer resources, hence the niche breadth is also very small. Generalist can dependent on anyone or it can dependent on multiple sources, hence the niche breadth is always higher. Correct na? Now how can we calculate this niche breadth, which is having a fixed formula? This is the previous year question. Now try to understand. They have given 2 species here. One is called a whiptail lizard, right? Another one is called side-blotched lizard. And they have given the diet chart of both organisms. Like however we eat fixed amount of carbs, fixed amount of proteins, fixed amount of lipids in a healthy diet, right? Similarly, as their diet chart, out of 100%, this lizard will eat 20% grasshoppers, 30% termites, 20% insect larvae, 20% beetles, vertebrates, roaches. Same way, side-blotched lizard also has a diet chart. Out of 100%, it will eat specific organisms as small percentage. What is the question? The question asked here is, find out the niche breadth for whiptail lizard. Means what you have to calculate, what you have to identify, whether the whiptail lizard, is it a generalist or is it a specialist? How can you identify? Based on value. Which is having less value? Specialist. Because the niche breadth is very low, then value also very low. Generalist, it depends on multiple sources, breadth is high, value is also high. What's the most simple formula to calculate? So simple, niche breadth B equal to 1 by, it's a fixed formula, I want you to write 1 by sum of Pi square. That's all. Okay. P, proportion of individuals. I, resource, the resource that use, that is called I. Correct na? So now first I want to calculate the niche breadth of whiptail lizard. 1 by, tell me first, whiptail lizard is eating what? Grasshoppers. Correct na? So here we have to take sum of. So we have to do all, we have to take all in the points and we have to square it. You're getting? So 20% means how much? We have to take sum of Pi square. 0.2 whole square. 0.3 whole square. 0.2, 0.2, 0.05, 0.05. Square it, add it. You get the niche breadth. Same thing we have to do here also. Then we will get the niche breadth of side-blotched lizard also. Correct na? Now this is the side-blotched lizard and this is whiptail lizard. So whiptail lizard niche breadth is 4.65, side-blotched is 6.0. See, what is the question? Niche breadth of whiptail lizard. Tell me, specialist or generalist? It is definitely a specialist. Correct na? Because niche breadth is completely smaller. Okay, so very simple formula, remember 1 by sum of pi square. Okay, definitely we get this kind of questions. Okay, sometimes to check your analytical skills, what they will give, you no need to calculate anything. In a given question, they will give the niche breadth of 10 species. 10 species they will give. Then they'll ask you, arrange the niche breadth, arrange the organisms in either ascending order or in the descending order based on their niche breadth. Correct now? Or they will say that arrange the following organisms as generalist and specialist either in ascending or descending order according to their niche breadth. Correct now? So always remember here low niche breadth and here high niche breadth. That's all, very simple formula, B equal to 1 by sum of pi square. Okay, very basic question it is, but there is a great possibility we can expect. We will expect. Okay. Now, first parameter is what? Niche breadth. What is this parameter is all about? To explain whether the given organism is generalist or specialist. The next parameter we call niche overlap. Okay, don't confuse. It's all about understanding the concept. What is this niche overlap is explaining? See this. Niche overlap measures the degree to which two different species overlap in their use of a particular resource. See friends, please look into the picture. This is a species 1. This is the niche of species 1. And this is the niche of species 2. Correct now? At one particular point, niche of species 1 and niche of species 2 got overlapped. Correct or not? I never use the word their complete niche got overlapped. Only a small part of the niche got overlapped. In other words, I can say that generally competition not occurred. At one particular point competition occurred. That too competition is very minimal. You are getting? Hence the overlapping of the niche is also very less. Now you see the second condition, is there any overlap? What does it indicate? No competition only. You are getting? So here competition occurred, but the competition is extremely minimal. And first question, why the organisms has to overlap? Why their niches will be overlap? Their niches will overlap only during the time of competition. Correct now? So based on their niche overlaps, there are 5 different possible relations were identified. This also you will get in the exam. They will give the graph. They will ask what kind of graph it is or what kind of relationship it is. Okay. Focus on the graphs correctly. Number 1, we call it friends, included niche. Okay. All of you focus on the picture. Okay. If you observe the graph 1, on the y-axis, x-axis I have taken environmental conditions and y-axis I have taken fitness. Now please look into this. First you see this. This is the niche of a species 1. And this small one is the niche of species 2. Here itself you tell me which is least competitor, poor competitor. Poor competitor is species 2. Can we use the word the niche of the species 2 is included in the niche of the species 1? Then obviously S1 is the powerful competitor, S2 is the poor competitor. This type of a niche is called included niche. Now definitely you can say here S1 is the powerful competitor. Now see, same thing I am showing in the graph. This is the graph of S1. Now this is the graph of S2, which is explaining their niches. Now the niche of S2 is located under the niche of the S1, hence S1 is the powerful. Now can you see friends, consider S2 is also powerful. S2 is also equally, we can't use the word equally, S2 is also competing. See here, this dashed line. This dashed line indicating the niche of S2. That time can you say S1 is the popular, S1 is the powerful competitor? We can't say that. That time it cannot become included niche. You are getting? When we can call a niche is an included niche, niche of one species is below the niche of or under the niche of other species. That is only called included. Don't confuse. Now, you people only answer this. Observe the graph and understand. I'll tell here. Overlapping is happening, definitely, very good. Then, very good. What is that? Competition is small. Can I also use the word equal? Correct, na? Means this is the niche of S1 and this is the niche of S2. Can I say how much amount of the S1 is competing, the same amount S2 is also competing during the time of overlapping, I am saying. Correct, na? Hence, overlapping the niches of equal breadth. That is the graph representing. So, terms only seems to be a little tricky. Overlapping the niche of equal breadth. Tell me the third one. Exactly, overlapping the niche of unequal breadth. Who is the winner here in the second case? No one is the winner. Both are powerful competitors. Here, now, is there any difference between the graph 1 and graph 3? Of course, yes. In the graph 1, the S2 is under the S1. Definitely here S1 is the powerful. Here, see here, can I use the word, see here, this is the niche of S1 and this is the niche of S2. Can I say only 10% of the niche of S1 is overlapping with almost 50% of the niche of the S2. Correct, na? So, this is completely unequal. That is what we call overlapping of niche of unequal. Tell me fourth graph. Then what about fifth graph? Fifth graph also same, no? Tell me. See, this is called as abutting niche. This is called adjunct niche. As you people said that there is no competition, this is this one. Correct, na? You know what is this abutting niche? This is the niche which is created just before the competition or after the competition. You're getting the point. So, just before the competition, their niche is going to overlap. Correct, na? They are about to start the competition. So, slowly overlapping is happening. Or consider competition is over. Slowly they are going to apart from each other. So, that is what exactly we can call the abutting niche. This is the point. About to start or after the competition. That is called abutting niche. Here the competition is not at all implanted in this case, because both are maybe living in a different area, maybe habitat is similar, their niche is completely different. Correct, na? So, one is adjunct, abutting, overlapping niche of unequal breadth, overlapping the niche of equal breadth, and included niche. Clear, everyone? Okay. This is a small concept of habitat and niche. Okay. In the next class, we'll continue with the DNA replication and population ecology. Okay. Clear, online people? See, definitely molecular biology is difficult. You have to read it multiple times, then only it will become easy. Okay. Clear, online? Yeah, you can leave. Okay, online people clear, you can ask any kind of a doubts. Okay, okay, please revise it one more time. We'll see in the next class as normal, okay? All right, okay. Thank you. Revise it once. Okay, I'll upload the PPT, mandatorily read it, okay, from the